December, FIFA will be announcing which country will host the 2018 World Cup finals. On Wednesday, the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, he had lunch with the FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, at Downing Street. Blatter praised England's bid, its stadiums and its crowd security. The other nations hoping to host the 2018 finals, Russia, the USA. There are two joint bidders, Spain and Portugal, plus Netherlands and Belgium. And the host for the 2022 finals will also be announced in December. Now, in the club game, the American owners of Liverpool have made yet another attempt to prevent the sale of the club to the owners of the Boston Red Sox. On Wednesday, the High Court in London ruled that Tom Hicks and George Gillette couldn't stop the Liverpool board from selling the club if the sale was in Liverpool's best interests. Just a few hours later, the co-owners took out a restraining order in a Texan court. Now, that order is not legally binding here in the UK, but it may still hamper the potential sale because it is thought NESV, the owners of the Red Sox, would not want to be seen to be breaking US law. The International Cricket Council says no compelling evidence has been found of any wrongdoing in last month's third one-day international between England and Pakistan. The ICC launched an investigation based on pre-match information that suggested a certain scoring pattern would emerge in Pakistan's innings. The ICC President, Sharad Pawar, has said everything will be done to root out corruption in the game.
We owe it to every player, administrator, every cricket lover, to win this battle against the very small minority who may wish to corrupt this game. The matter of integrity is non-negotiable. Integrity and honesty are the bedrock of our game, and ICC will protect that foundation stone with everything at our disposal.
Now, just a few years ago, when Steve Waugh was Australia's captain, his team was practically unbeatable. Ricky Ponting then succeeded Waugh, the dominance continued, but then two of the greatest bowlers in the history of the sport, Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath, they retired from the Test arena in 2007, and the invincibility did begin to fade. Wednesday's loss in the second Test against India in Bangalore, that was Australia's third Test defeat in a row, the first time that's happened in 20 years. They're now ranked at number 5 in the world, so not the ideal way at all to be going into an upcoming Ashes series against England.
It's going to be interesting to see how the group bounces back now. That's 3 Test matches in a row of loss as well. We can't forget the last one against Pakistan. So I'm not sure in my time of even playing for Australia if that's happened. Certainly hasn't happened, I don't think, since I've been captain. So there are some issues there that we need to deal with, and we have to get over them quickly.
The 2010 Commonwealth Games come to a conclusion this Thursday. 1 billion TV viewers expected to watch the closing ceremony, where Delhi will pass the baton to the Lord Provost of Glasgow, the host city, in 2014. After all the negative pre-publicity, the Indian capital has held a successful event, although the president of the Commonwealth Games Federation has hinted possibly things could go a little bit more smoothly.
Well, I suppose the first lesson is that we need to continue to convince organizing committees to accept our advice and expertise that we bring from games to games, because again we have experienced a number of things that we have endeavored to get the organizing committee to do and to advise them, but there has been a reluctance to perhaps proceed with some of that advice early enough. So that's one of the broad areas that we would want to sit down with, because we operate the games over a long period of time. An organizing committee only exists for one games, and in many cases that organizing committee does not have the experience or knowledge that they need to run the game. So we provide that, and we have a formal process of providing that through the transfer of knowledge. But other than that, we have people who can give that advice, and therefore we need to convince them that we are trying to assist in putting on a better show.
Well, what an incredible 8 months it's been for the Australia men's hockey team. The Kookaburras have added a 4th successive Commonwealth title, and that to the World Cup and the Champions Trophy they won earlier this year. Australia have taken the gold medal in Delhi this Thursday. They have thrashed India 8-0 in the final. A capacity crowd of 19,000 at the MDC Stadium, also boosted by the attendance of Sonia Gandhi and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. but they won't have enjoyed the results at all. Still, the silver is India's first ever medal in men's hockey at the Commonwealth Games. Jason Wilson and Luke Dorner, they scored 2 goals apiece for Australia, helping their country pull even further ahead in the final medals table. Well, he missed all of last season with a foot injury, but now he's back. 17,000 turning up in Beijing to welcome China's most popular sportsman back on court. He is, of course, Yao Ming, although he received mixed reviews on his comeback for the Houston Rockets in this preseason NBA game against the New Jersey Nets. Yao played for 18 minutes in a 10-point victory over the Nets. He scored just 9 points. His court time will also be limited in the second game of this Chinese tour on Saturday as the Rockets look to nurse him back to complete fitness. One fan in attendance in Beijing said he seems not as good as before. Another believed he was just so-so.
It's always excited to come back to China and play a game against all the fans in the home country, particularly in this arena. The memory is still very fresh for me when we play Olympics here. Get a great support from the fans, and today they come back, and even that's play for a different team, but they support us as much as before.
And finally, to a version of basketball come martial arts, we're calling it. This is in Hunan province, and it happened during the first quarter of an exhibition game between China and Brazil. The trouble began after a foul by a Chinese player. The scuffle that followed soon became an all-out brawl. Both benches emptied and entered the fray. Players kicked and punched each other, but then the Brazilians decided they didn't want to fight anymore and they left the court. An earlier incident in the game had left the Chinese player Zhang Kangpeng needing hospital treatment. He'd run into a screen, and that so incensed China's American coach Bob Donewald that he was ejected from the game for clashing with the referee. The trouble continued when the Brazilians tried to leave the court. The Chinese squad then attacked them, and the Brazilians then refused to play the 4th game of this tour of China. Quite incredible. In fact, the crowd there looking quite calm. That's sport today. Peter Dobby is next with the news. Bye-bye.
Sport Today is